and that's going to be the immune response. And the genes, okay, in all the cells of your body, you have your entire genetic makeup, but only one gene might need to be expressed for that one cell. For example, in the pancreas, the cells that need to make insulin, they don't need to worry about the remaining 29,999 genes that you have. The only gene they won't open is the one that can code for insulin and the one that can code for making what that cell needs. It doesn't need to have all the other ones active. At the time egg and sperm meet, one becomes 2 cell, 2 becomes 4, so on and so forth. That information is being determined so that as that offspring develops, okay, the cells that will be needed, okay, cells that need DNA, those genes not to work at all, blah, 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 that's being taken care of during development. The life of a cell itself, all right, at that individual cellular level, that making of the protein varies. And it's going to vary depending on what the body needs. So what I've just told you, we have a lifespan of an individual that at the beginning has the DNA has been determined. But now I'm telling you, each individual cell of the body has a lifespan. Okay? For example, red blood cells. Red blood cells have roughly a 120-day lifespan. Intestinal cells, roughly 24 hours. Skin cells, pretty much all the time. Do you see where I'm going with this? Muscle cells don't ever reproduce. What you get is what you got. Same thing for nerve cells. What you get is what you got. They just simply function. They don't worry about reproducing.
Okay, so you said that intestinal cells have 24 hours?
Mm-hmm.
So why is that like with cancer and stuff like that? Why do you keep repeating this up and that?
Now, the problem is, once the cell, in the case of cancer, the cell will have checkpoints. And if the making, the reproduction, the use of the genes, and everything else, okay, if all of that it's the phone only use. So we have checkpoints, and so in the case of cancer, cancer actually activates a gene, and that gene will hopefully be corrected in the cell process, but then we begin to see that it continues and continues and continues, and then the problem becomes cells that end up getting that cancer gene that doesn't turn off, those cells begin to duplicate non-stop. And that's when those cells become a mass and other things go wrong. Yeah, so where the cell may only need to do the duplication of itself once every 24 hours, it may be doing it every hour. So they create a mass, and that doesn't work. Daniel?
So you're saying like if you have 4 cells and they have a 24-hour lifespan, those 4 cells have already duplicated way beyond themselves by the time that they die.
Right, if it's in the case of cancer. Because really, cancer is what is termed out of control cell growth. And those cells no longer have a control over the reproduction. And so they create the mass and you end up having all these other issues. Other times for the control are where we're going to have cells making materials as we need them. So the ability, for example, to make the thyroid hormone, that's going to be made based on what the body needs. So it may not be that it has a life cycle of, being produced every 24 hours. It may be that right now, I need that to be produced, all right? And then the body goes, okay, I got enough, and it stops. So so not only do we have this regulation for the organism as a whole, we have regulation at each individual cell, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's important for the genes to have their regulation. Now, I think what I'll do before starting this, because everything we've talked about up to this point is going to help you with your test. Okay? So let's hold off on this until Monday. Why don't you guys go take about 20 minutes, come back at 9:15, and you'll get to start the test, and once you're done, you're free to go. Okay?